Yeah, so far it's looking a little rough on the end of Empire, but doing our best. Hey everyone, my name is Sarah O'Neill. I'm very, very honored to be here. Can we please clap it up one more time for the organizers for having us in this beautiful space, for Evan specifically, for all of the work and labor and love that has gone into having us here on this beautiful Saturday. I feel deeply honored to be here. I grew up in the California state parks, swimming, camping, hiking. And so to be able to share my work here, it really means a lot to me. And to just be standing on the shore of such a deep history that holds so much of this history of migrants making a life for themselves, and then before them the indigenous people that stewarded this land. And I'm just kind of being reminded of, one, how stunning and beautiful California is, but also the very deep and violent history of settler colonialism that has shaped this land, and how we all have an obligation, as we enjoy its beauty, as we get to witness it in these ways, to also do right by this history and acknowledge the ways in which this history is still very present with us today. So it's just something I'm sitting with. And thank you all for listening. I know we've been kind of sitting for a while too, so if you need to listen better by standing up, moving around, switching seats, feel free to do so. I will not feel any kind of way. Support yourself however you need. This first poem is dedicated to my father, Abdulmalik Mason O'Neill Jr. It's titled Martyrs Never Die. Aren't we all missing someone who intended to hold us? Aren't we all waiting for a steady knock at the front door? All that's lost and weeping between us, I remember the stretch of my father's hands, how much they held, how much more they intended to hold. My baby eyes turned up to him like his spirit drew my orbit, and maybe it did. And maybe that's why I find myself in every city he called home, wondering where he used to sit, rest his feet. The ghosts are tangled in my throat again. The smoke pulls them through like fish hooks, drawing blood, small, threaded lines of red. I trace the purple in my fingers, the green rivers connecting my palm. I wrap my forefinger and thumb around my wrist. I feel for bone and my father. Always my father in my lilting eyes and outstretched palms while I pray the prayer of martyrs, their forefingers pointed towards the sky as they use their last breath to swear that there is no God but God, and the prophet is his messenger. And I think about the young men in Palestine, in Gaza and Jenin and Nablus, in Sudan and Yemen, how they recover their last slivers of life to make shahada, and I think about all of the ones who died this way, survived this way, how my father must have raised his finger in the end, or at least his chin, to make this final declaration, how my ancestors must have done the same, the ones who were taken from homelands in West Africa and brought to this bloodied soil in chains, how these words must have been their comfort, their compass towards sanity, how these words quilt all of our martyrs together as they reach for life even in the end. Which is why we say, Shuhada'na ma matu, aishin jambina. Our martyrs did not die. They live alongside us. I keep thinking about this phrase in Arabic, Thawra hatta nasr, revolution until victory. Revolution until victory, revolution until the land is free, and the people are free, and the water is free, and the sky is free, and the moon is free, and the sun is ours. The sun is ours. The sun is ours, and fire is not turned on us, is not used to mutilate and maim and massacre, is not used to exterminate or extinguish life. And the olive trees sing again, and the figs too. And the pomegranate orchards spill out in abundance, each seed a vessel of blood, the only drops that will ever touch this soil again. And I think about the veins in my palm, how they run back through my mother and my mother's mother and her mother before her, all this blood streaming into me and pouring out, and all I ask for is some guidance, some spirit older than me to hold me as I hold this. I'm trying to honor the stories you've gifted me, The verses I inherited before I knew what it was to be connected through a God greater than the ones who rule us with their military bases and jets and tanks and automatic rifles ripping through holy skin, and still to say Allahu Akbar in spite of all of this, and still to lift a stone or a pen or your simple gaze even, to spit in their faces and refuse to submit or surrender, knowing Shahada is the ultimate surrender. May God make Shuhada of us all. Make our breath greater than the short lives we were given, the short lives we squander as we obsess over how to hold on to this earth that was never ours to begin with. I came into this world with my father's palm wrapped around my fist. I came into this world holding on, but I am learning this life is simply a rehearsal for the next. So I'm learning to let go and let go and let go until I can hold his hands again. This next poem, I have to do right by my mama too. I love her. So this next poem is for my mother. It's titled Hereafter. My mother wanted to protect us, wanted our childhoods idyllic, and everything hers wasn't. I remember the way she would rub my back sometimes to help me fall asleep, singing in that voice I've only heard echoed by my aunties back home. Ninniya mamu, taite butamu. And I never asked her how she memorized this melody, or who rubbed her back when her tummy ached, or when she missed her own dead mother, the woman she's named after, who's remembered by her ocean black hair and sharp cheekbones. My mother was a baby once, motherless, and I still can't find the words to ask how she learned to continue with this ache in her throat. Did she fill it with rage or bury it? Use her quiet like a sharpened blade against those who tried to get too close too quick? Did she ever speak to her? Ask questions and wait for the signs that inevitably show an answer? I talk to my long dead father, and he speaks back sometimes, tells me how to channel the rage, shows me how to pull my body through the water so I can learn to survive all that wails inside me. I miss him still, I tell Mama over the phone. And this time, she says, I know. Soft, distant. I feel her tuck herself back in through the echo in the phone line. I want to tell her it's okay to miss like this. It's okay to not be over it, to never be over it. I miss him like a long breath pulled through my lungs. I hold in the screams until I can release them under the current. Let the water carry all that aches. I ask her if she reaches for him, speaks to him the way I learned to. She says, of course not. You cannot speak to what is no longer. I want to show her he is everywhere, reaching out for us, carrying us when the ache is too much. Her mother too, my henna. I feel her soft palms on my shoulders sometimes when my muscles have knotted themselves and I cannot turn my neck from the pain. And I know she is with me, holding me in the only way she still can, and I want my mama to be held like this, loved like this. She tells me she speaks to God. That's all who needs to hold her now. And I want her to know she does not have to choose. She can have them all. Guardians of the spirit realm, protectors of our lineage who care for us in ways beyond comprehension. I stop trying to understand. I open the door to my heart. I let the water in. I let the salt and the ash and the waves open me. Rinse my spirit into a new form of surrender. I walk the path. All right, I have one last poem for y'all. How are we feeling? How are we doing? We need to get up. We need to stretch. We need to move around. Please feel encouraged to do so. I know we've been sitting for a little minute. This last poem is a new poem, something I wrote recently, an attempt to sort of process the ongoing genocide in Palestine and make sense of the kind of lives we are forced to live under this neoliberal capitalist world that we are trapped in. So, a lot to process, but this was an attempt. I've had so many conversations this week about the state of things, how to make sense of the horrors the ruling class inflicts on some while it traps